Federal Executive Council approves $3.1 billion for automation of Nigeria's customs service. Federal government say it is tackling food inflation in Nigeria. PPMC increases ex-depot price of petrol to 151.56 naira per litre. And on Business Express today, we shall be taking a look at how the insurance sector fared in the second quarter of 2020. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. The Federal Executive Council says it has approved $3.1 billion for the complete automation of the Nigerian Customs Service. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says the main objective of this project is to completely automate every aspect of the customs business and to institutionalize the use of smart and emerging technologies that will enhance the statutory function of the Nigerian Customs Service in the areas of revenue generation, as well as trade facilitation and enhancement of security.
End-to-end automation of all of Nigerian customs service processes, and is going to bring huge value to the country. This project has the potential to yield up to $176 billion of revenue, and the consortia that are providing these investments are going to be paid over time according to a schedule that is negotiated for their investments, including their profit and cost of funds. So this is the best possible way for Nigeria to be able to roll out very important capital projects using funds from the private sector.
The President has directed that we should conduct an audit assessment of all the federal public institutions and their need in order to upgrade their facilities. The federal government has redirected as well that all federal public institutions should always contact Galaxy as their first point of call whenever they have any IT project to be executed. But most importantly, to show to us the commitment of federal government towards promotion of our government digital services.
The project, expected to last for 36 months, is to enhance the agency's mode of operation using the application of ICT in all aspects of its administration. The National Bureau of Statistics says the insurance sector of the Nigerian economy contracted by 28.15% in the second quarter of the year. This is contained in the Bureau's Gross Domestic Product report for the second quarter of 2020. The report stated that the finance and insurance sector consisted of two subsectors, namely financial institutions and insurance, which accounted for 89.82% and 10.18% of this sector respectively in real terms in the second quarter. As a whole, the sector grew at 20.82% in nominal terms year on year, with the growth rate of financial institutions as 30.94%, but minus 28.15% growth rate recorded for insurance. The overall rate was higher than that of second quarter 2019 by 19.85% points and lower by minus 3.14% points than the preceding quarter. That is, quarter-on-quarter growth was 0.49%. To further shed more light on how insurance sector fared in the second quarter and the possible economic implication is an insurance consultant, Ekerete Ola Gam Ekon. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, Ben. How are you today?
Well, I must confess, it's not a struggle getting to pronounce that name, but I get to fancy it. Well, to start with,
Yes.
are you insured? I mean, is your life insured?
Of course, my life is insured. And my family's life is insured also.
Wow. So why should I get to insure my life?
Oh, basically because you've got to overcome the risk that we face every day. Otherwise, I would be asking you, how are you then doing it? Do you have traditional insurance that is covering you? Maybe, because some people depend on that.
Businesses,
Yes.
Nigerians particularly tend to insure their businesses rather than life. Why should I insure my business, particularly at times like this?
Yeah, of course, the businesses that have been insured, even during the second quarter that we say the insurance sector contracted, cannot say the same thing like individuals, because insurance companies have been paying claims, and that is the essence of insurance, and so businesses understand more why they need to do insurance, and they actually get paid for doing insurance. When you look at the sector, whatever result the insurance makes, about 70 to 75% of that comes from corporate businesses, and the claims also go in that dimension. And if I must say, if the insurance sector is not settling claims to businesses, these businesses will not survive to pay tax, to employ other people, and give us the kind of things we enjoy from them.
We're going to concentrate on those claims. So before we come to that, what is the major role of insurance in commerce and industry?
Essentially to stabilize the business and provide an environment where businesses are taken away from danger. That's the sense of insurance.
How are we faring in doing that?
Well, I would think for the business sector, we're doing very well with that. However, we're not doing so well with the individual sector when it comes to insurance.
Okay, then let's look at the figures. Looking at the latest GDP figures,
Yes.
which the insurance sector shrank by 28.15 in quarter two.
Yep.
In 2019,
Yes.
it was 19.85. What is responsible for this continuous drop?
You don't have a continuous drop, if I may say, because
From 2019,
I've
from the
also looked
2019
at
figure to the second quarter.
I've also looked at those numbers.
Okay.
And then nobody's talking about the fact that in the first quarter of this year, insurance grew by about 6.6%. And then nobody's also talking about the fact that by 2019 third quarter, it bounced back. So it's always like there is a drop in insurance in the second quarter. And that might be because in the first quarter, a lot of businesses and individuals have done renewal of their businesses. So there's a growth in the sector and in that particular sector of the year. But a lot of people make a lot more claims in the second quarter of the year.
Okay,
And
more
that's
like
why.
the first quarter is renewal period.
Oh, yes.
So you have to insure your business.
Oh, yes.
Then when it
Money
comes to the
comes in.
second quarter, money goes out through claims.
Yes.
Okay, looking at claims, poor accounting practices,
Yep.
poor claims settlement, failed public image, negligence of investment, and low business awareness
Yeah.
have been pegged as some of the challenges affecting insurance. Are they still there today? And do they play a part?
But these issues have been in insurance for as long as I have personally been in this business. And that's way back in 1990. I came in to hear it. And we've heard it all over the world. Nobody seems to love insurance. But the issue is we've got to address the claims issues like you mentioned, which will make people have some level of confidence in the fact that they can come and do their business and be sure that when something goes wrong, they will be paid, which is the promise that insurance gives, and that's where the work is. And we are saying that, look, companies that aren't paying claims are not, in the business. Let's say it that way. And so a lot of work is being done from the regulatory end, from the market end, to make sure that these companies comply. And if they're not complying, you will also notice that these companies are the ones that are not doing well. And so with recapitalization in front of us, the tendency is that they will not be there anymore. And if they are not there, the regulator will have to, apply sanctions to make sure that they are not there, because they are killing the business. The only reason why people do insurance is because they expect to be paid their claims. And that's what we should say and speak to everyone, which is the fact that if you're not doing that, then that's why you continue to have this kind of situation. If the companies are not paying claims, are not getting more money, more customers, more money, because insurance is the business of numbers. If they're not doing that, then you can always expect that there will be a drop in that second quarter, like we've had in the last 2 years, including this year.
So practitioners like you, what are you doing in confidence building?
Oh yes, part of what we are doing is to say, look, the discussion should not just be on awareness and education, because guess what? There are people who are aware. They've taken insurance policies. They're not reading their policies. And it is when an issue comes up about claims that you discover that it was in your policy. And so we are encouraging people. We are online encouraging people. We are doing physical events as much as possible in this season, and we are also using the new normal, like we will say, to communicate and let people do what they ought to do. Because insurance is a contract. You've got to play your part. You cannot continue to blame the insurance sector for not doing its own role. If you check, there are a number of people who have had to default in one way or the other because they didn't understand it, unfortunately. And so what we are doing is to encourage us to know that when you go into an insurance contract, you've got to read the terms of the contract, understand it, ask questions, make changes, and ensure that you are in that peaceful position that insurance should give you.
There's an aspect of insurance that almost every Nigerian, a common Nigerian,
Yes.
is involved in, particularly if you have an automobile.
Okay.
Third-party insurance.
Yep.
You go to renew your car papers, they say there is a 5,000 you need to pay for insurance, there is a 10,000 you need to pay insurance. How effective is that?
It's not as effective as it should be, because NBS also told us in 2018, I beg your pardon, that we've got 11.7 registered vehicles in Nigeria, and at that time only 2.5 million of those vehicles have genuine insurance. All right, so there's a lot of work to do on the enforcement side when it comes to that, because third party is good to have. Third party is good if you've got your car third party and you hit my own car, then you have access to up to 1 million naira to fix my car. So there's no reason why people should not jump at third party at only 5,000 naira. But guess what? There've been a lot of fake practices that people prefer to, buy. And at the end of the day, when something happens, they still call it insurance. But you got a fake insurance, which should not have been the case. So those are issues that we have to deal with. But the insurance sector is not an enforcer. And that's why the insurance industry continues to say government should help. Government should help with enforcement, and there's a lot going on with the police and the federal road safety to make sure that this happens. But I'm looking forward to the time when we will automate a lot of these things, so that
I'm asking the next question.
Yes.
as a layman. I insure my car and I get to pay 50,000.
Okay, for comprehensive or for third party?
3% or 5% comprehensive.
Yes.
And over 10 years,
Yes.
nothing happens to my car. What happens to that investment?
Oh, your investment was meant to help somebody else get recovery when he had an accident. When you pay your premium goes to a pool, where other people are also participating. All right. And that's why your 50,000 for a car of maybe 1.5 million is what it is. And so you are subscribing to a pool. Now it is someone who has a claim, back to the issue of claim, that will gain from that pool. So sometimes we say we are all contributing to support one another when it comes to insurance. And that's what it is. So
what
when you
happens
go
to insurance funds?
Yes.
What happens to the funds?
What happens to what funds?
The collective fund, the collective investment, is it plowed back into the system? How does it help the economy? How does it help grow the economy?
Oh, absolutely. Now, apart from paying claims, those funds are invested, don't forget. And government sometimes, borrows from from those funds to do a lot of other things. Like you have in the pensions. I mean, group life is something that is pulling a lot of funds also. And then government borrows from that funds because insurance companies are, the investment instruments for insurance companies are kind of limited. So you've got to invest in treasury bills where government borrows from and all of that. So insurance is contributing, a lot in that regard.
Okay, how effective is insurance in the general wealth creation thing, protection and conservation, at least towards improving our GDP as it is?
Yeah, it's effective to the extent that those who are subscribing to insurance, those who have one insurance policy or the other, are enjoying it. But Ben, what we need is to have more people, because insurance is the business of numbers, to have more people, do insurance business. And that's why we are saying that if people know that claims are being paid, they will leave the alternative options that they are using today to call Uncle Ben when there's an accident, to give him money to fix his car, to make you an insurance instead of going to the proper insurance company. And that's what it is. All over the world, insurance is a game of numbers. If you don't have the numbers, you can't make it happen. And so we've got to encourage people through better claims experience to do insurance, and ensure that when they do insurance, they will see the value.
In trying to attract these numbers and courtesy what we are in worldwide, talking about the impact of coronavirus,
yes,
how are you faring? How do you want to increase these numbers amidst this macroeconomic environment that has got a little bit of market instability?
Yeah, the thing there is that the insurance sector is also doing a number of different things. One of them is trying to promote microinsurance so that it can become affordable. It can become, something that is available for people to get. And the approach is such that now people are even talking about insurance a lot more than before. So when people complain about insurance, I say to the insurance companies and insurance sector players, consume the complaints when you get the complaints. Take it as food. Eat the complaints, respond to the complaints. The more you respond to the complaint, the more people will come. It's when we're not responding to complaints that people are not coming. So that is already happening. And I'm happy that the health insurance sector is also growing because of COVID-19. People are now concerned, and those calls are coming and they're getting responses.
Mr. Ekerete, thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much.
Back to life insurance, we'll get to talk outside this studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Moving on, the dollar clung to overnight gains on Thursday as investors trimmed bets against the greenback and sold the euro on concerns that the European Central Bank was worried about its rise. Let's now see how the naira is exchanging for other international currencies. The Petroleum Products Marketing Company PPMC has increased the ex-depot price of petrol from 138.62 naira to 151.56 naira per litre. The ex-depot price is the cost at which the product is sold to marketers. The PPMC, which is a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, announced the new price in a memo to industry stakeholders. The price of premium motor spirit PMS is now 151 naira 56 kobo per litre. This is effective 2nd September 2020. Gold prices edged higher on Thursday following a steep fall in the previous session as a weaker US dollar and worries over global economic outlook due to rising COVID-19 cases underpinned the metal's appeal. Women are creative and innovative and always eager to do business. But the impact of the COVID-19 and the lockdown, which is still being experienced the world over, has affected their businesses. Muplang Dakok, in our Surviving COVID series, spoke to 3 women engaged in different businesses who say the COVID-19 threatened their business.
Businesses owned by women have been described as very key to ending poverty and achieving sustainable development. A World Bank report says female income contributes at least 30% to extreme poverty reduction, while an annual Global Entrepreneurship Monitor survey shows that 41% of early-stage businesses in Nigeria are run by females, while 39% are run by males, with contributions in agriculture, textile, entertainment, ICT, and almost every sector of the economy. With women's huge contribution, it goes without saying, therefore, that they were most hit by the pandemic.
I produce therapeutic mat. I'm also a farmer. But it's quite unfortunate that when coronavirus came into the country and the lockdown really affected us, even going to the farm, it was not easy. Even for you to sell your products, it was not easy.
I do fish farming, I do zobo, I do kunoaya. So many of us were into business, but we really don't know how to go about it.
Despite the negative impact of COVID-19, women like Comfort Ngozi are able to identify other opportunities. Her goal is to remain in business.
I've been making school uniforms for school uniforms and then security uniforms for up to 5 to 10 years now. But during the COVID, I started making face masks and the PPE. But the fabric is not available, so I diverted into food packaging.
Vanessa Oji, a business consultant and trainer, says challenges faced in business can be surmountable.
Most times they have this complaint of business is not doing, business is not this, business is that. We have more complaint than we have success stories of businesses, especially amongst women. And it's paramount we know that if women can run business and run it well, it will help the world at large.
Stocks in Asia Pacific rose in Thursday morning trade after the SP 500 cruised to another record overnight stateside. Over to Bosede Ebo for the details.
Global scene. Stocks in Asia Pacific were mixed in Thursday trade as investors reacted to regional economic data releases. Mainland Chinese stocks shared earlier gains and were lowered, with the Shanghai Composite down by 0.55%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index was 0.31% lower, while the Nikkei inched up 0.94%. European markets are set to open modestly higher Thursday as investors monitored key economic data from around the world. Britain's FTSE 100 is seen around 12 points higher at 5,952. Germany's DAX is expected to climb around 72 points to 13,315, and CAC 40 of France is set to gain around 29 points. In the United States, futures contracts tied to the major U.S. stock indices dipped in Thursday early morning trade as investors looked to pair already robust gains seen on Wall Street so far this week. Dow futures slipped 64 points. S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 contracts also traded in mildly negative territory, while stocks in Africa are expected to be positive but yet to post numbers.
This is where we end this episode of the program. Don't forget you can access this and all previous episodes on YouTube. And you can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is at NTA News Now. The hashtag is BizX. We value your feedback. Do join us again on Friday by 3 p.m. for another package. As we continue to fight against COVID-19, remember to keep physical distance and always wash your hands with soap under running water. I am Benny Adams saying stay safe.